This presentation was made possible by the University at Buffalo's Clinical and Translational Science Institute. It is the third presentation in our series of UB ClinicalTrials.gov related presentations. The first two being, do I need to register for ClinicalTrials.gov, and how to register your trial. This presentation focuses on how you enter the results of your trial in the ClinicalTrials.gov Protocol Registration and Results System, or PRS. The content of this presentation is a collaborative effort of a number of different institutions as well as individuals. The resources used will be listed in the end and include UB User Guide developed by UB Clinical Research Regulatory Administrator Lynn Jagodzinski, and other guides and tutorials pertaining to clinical trial results entry. In this presentation, we will cover the importance of entering the study results, preparing to enter results, the 4 scientific modules of entering the results, as well as additional information that may need submitting in the PRS, and link to resources and step-by-step guides that are useful, if not necessary, to enter your study results on ClinicalTrials.gov. Just as there are reasons for your study to be registered on ClinicalTrials.gov, there are also reasons for why you need to report the study results. The reasons for reporting the study results include: provide a public record of basic study results in a standardized format for researchers, journal editors, IRBs, and other relevant consumers of research information. Promote the fulfillment of ethical obligations to participants and the overall contribution of research results to medical knowledge for patients, the research community, and the general public. Reduce publication and outcome reporting biases for the benefit of users of the medical literature, and facilitate systematic reviews and other analyses of the research literature for researchers and policymakers. There are regulations and policies that govern data and other information sharing. International Committee of Medical Journal Editors policy stipulates that prospective registration before enrollment of first patient is required to be considered for publication in their journals, but does not require results reporting. However, the committee expects authors to ensure that they have met the requirements of their funding and regulatory agencies regarding aggregate clinical trial results reporting in clinical trial registries. Requirements for applicable clinical trials, or ACTs, are described in Section 801 of the Food and Drug Administration Amendments Act of 2007, known as FDA 801. The final rule, 42 CFR Part 11, clarifies and expands the regulatory requirements and procedures for submitting registration and results information for certain trials to ClinicalTrials.gov in accordance with FDA 801. Registration and results submission on ClinicalTrials.gov is required for all NIH-funded clinical trials, whether ACTs or not, that began on or after January 18, 2017, and were funded from an application or competitive renewal submitted on or after January 18, 2017. Other funders may have their own specific registration and results reporting policies. So how do you get started with entering your study results? The PRS guided tutorials provide step-by-step instructions for submitting results information into the ClinicalTrials.gov Protocol Registration and Results System. The tutorials have updated content and features, including examples from materials developed for the behavioral sciences community. The tutorials include quick overview guides that are designed to help users get the most from the tutorials, and a PDF library that has all tutorial content in a single place, readily available for download. The tutorial provides an overview about 3 main areas: entering a new study registration, entering initial results and uploading study documents, and updating a study record. It includes list of resources that provide more information about the topic, resizable figures that can be enlarged, answers to common questions, annotated examples of various types of studies, and as mentioned, downloadable PDF versions of the tutorials that you can save and print for easy reference. Study data are submitted as 4 separate modules: participant flow, baseline characteristics, outcome measures and statistical analysis, and adverse events. The modules allow for the entry and display of information in a series of data tables with supporting notes without narrative conclusions about the results. Summary results information may be submitted once data are available for one or more primary outcome measures and for each arm of the study. Result submission also includes completing the limitations and caveats module and the certain agreements and results point of contact modules, which are grouped together under more information. Please note that studies with a primary completion date on or after January 18, 2017 must provide the study protocol and statistical analysis plan as part of results information submission. Before beginning the results section, verify that the information in the protocol section is accurate and up-to-date and consistent with the protocol registration quality control review criteria. Submit the changes to ClinicalTrials.gov for review and posting before you start entering results information. The review process typically takes 2 to 5 business days. It is recommended that you submit protocol section updates before you begin the results submission process, because once results entry has begun, the protocol section cannot be submitted for review and posting by itself. So how do you enter the actual study results? In the PRS, click Enter Results. Note that PRS does not allow results data entry if there are errors in the protocol section. Participant flow shows how participants were assigned to the arms or groups of a study and how they progressed through the stages of the study. It includes the numbers of participants who started, completed, and dropped out of each period of the study based on the sequence in which interventions were assigned. Participant flow information is typically depicted as a consort flow diagram in journal publications. The ClinicalTrials.gov participant flow module is a tabular version of a consort flow diagram and accommodates a wide range of study designs. An example of how this information could be translated is shown on this slide. In the consort flow diagram to ClinicalTrials.gov participant flow table crosswalk. As mentioned before, examples for different study designs shown on the slide are provided in the ClinicalTrials.gov PRS guided tutorials. Baseline characteristics information allows readers to see whether study participants are similar across groups and how the population relates to the patients in clinical practice. It also establishes context for the outcome measures assessed in the study. While this is a busy slide, it is to demonstrate the amount of information that may have to be entered in the results section. The ClinicalTrials.gov baseline characteristics module is a table of demographic and baseline measures and data collected for all participants in a clinical study, organized by arm or comparison group. The table created for the baseline characteristics module is similar to the demographic and baseline data table that appears in a journal article about a clinical study, frequently reported as Table 1. The purpose of the ClinicalTrials.gov outcome measures and statistical analysis module is to summarize results data by arm or comparison group for each primary and secondary outcome measure assessed in the study. Data for other pre-specified and post hoc outcome measures can also be reported.
An outcome measure is an assessment used to determine the effect of an experimental variable, for example, an intervention, on participants in a study. In addition, the results of scientifically appropriate tests of statistical significance for each outcome measure can be reported in this module. The results for each outcome measure are presented in a table in which the columns represent the study's arms or comparison groups, and the rows present summary level data. Each statistical analysis is similarly reported in a table that immediately follows the relevant outcome measure. The ClinicalTrials.gov Adverse Events module includes 3 tables that summarize anticipated and unanticipated adverse events: all-cause mortality, all deaths due to any cause that were collected during the study, serious adverse events, all serious adverse events that were collected during the study, and other, not including serious adverse events, that were collected during the study and that exceeded a specified frequency threshold in any arm or comparison group. Limitations and caveats is an optional module used to describe any significant limitations of a study. In the example here, the limitation of the study was that there was no control condition, and the study may have not had enough participants to detect group differences on secondary measures. When describing the limitations of a study, avoid using language that could be interpreted as written results or conclusions. 2 modules are grouped together under More Information, Certain Agreements, and Results Point of Contact. The first module is used to indicate whether there is an agreement between the sponsor of the study and one or more principal investigators that limits the ability of the investigators to discuss or publish the results of the study. The second module is used to provide a point of contact for scientific information about the study results. Before posting, result submissions are reviewed by ClinicalTrials.gov staff using standard review criteria to assess for apparent errors, deficiencies, or inconsistencies, and to ensure complete, sensible entries that can be understood by readers of the medical literature. In an article published in 2017, the PRS team presented result submissions to characterize the type and frequency of major issues identified in result submissions by ClinicalTrials.gov. They found that about 85% occurrences of major issues could be described using only 12 categories, with the most frequent error being reported invalid or inconsistent unit of measure. In the PRS, there are multiple options for viewing the record that will allow you to review the results section and check for consistency with the protocol section. If you need to share the record with staff who don't have access to the PRS, or if you would like to store a copy of the current version for your records, you can download a draft receipt by clicking on the PDF or RTF or rich text format for your preferred version of the record. Alternatively, you can access a preview of the record in a format that approximates how the text will appear on ClinicalTrials.gov by clicking on the preview link on the record summary page. Either option will allow you to view the record in a separate window and edit information in the PRS simultaneously as you identify changes that need to be made. In addition to the PRS guided tutorials, to help with the results entry, there are various other resources available, ranging from overviews to glossaries to training videos, some of which are listed on this slide. One of the resources is the ClinicalTrials.gov Registration and Results Guide, created by UB's ClinicalTrials.gov Regulatory Administrator, Lynn Jagodzinski. If you're getting ready to enter results for your research studies in ClinicalTrials.gov, please feel free to contact Lynn Jagodzinski or Jaanimägi at the UB CTSI with questions. They can provide you guidance as you navigate the ClinicalTrials.gov system. Thank you for taking your time to learn about results reporting at ClinicalTrials.gov.